Welcome back to ASEAN Talks on ASEAN TV, and I am still at the Impact Muang Thong Thani for the 72nd anniversary of Pondok-Bantan. And here with us right now, I have Dr. Harlina Halizah Siraj, the chairman of the Social Development Committee of IKRAM. Sawadee ka. First of all, thank you very much to give us your time today. You are one of the key speakers today, and you were talking about the fatality rate of the pregnancy woman. But before we go to that topic, I would like you to explain to us a little bit what is IKRAM do, what is the main work, what is it focus on?
Okay, thank you, Tulip. Basically, it is actually an Islamic NGO, which was actually organized in Malaysia, looking into the social development, education, and the general welfare of Muslims in the country. And it is basically for the betterment of Muslims to practice their Muslim lifestyle, and of course achieving all which is really necessary for Muslims to achieve in this world as well as in the hereafter.
Dr. Surin Piswan called you the role model of good Muslim. Does it give you a little hard time?
Yeah, sure. Of course, for such a short notice, I was asked to deliver this talk, but fortunately, it is very related to what I've been sort of doing as an obstetrician and gynecologist for my profession. I've always been looking into the welfare and the healthcare of women, particularly women who are pregnant and having their children. And these are women more or less playing their role, their primary role as mothers and as wives.
Right.
Yeah? And basically, these are women who are supposed to be kept healthy because they need to look after the children. Yeah? Unfortunately, there is a contrast between those most probably in the developed countries as compared to those in the developing countries. And even as a medical student, I was always asking myself, why is that so? There's no reason for that. And another thing was related to this talk, to this gathering, it is actually the Muslims that seems to be lagging behind, particularly in women's health.
Why is that so?
That's it. I was asking in the talk just now, why is it the current status of Muslim women's health in the current world is not reflecting what is the actual teaching of Islam, where women should be respected, put in a very high position, okay? And that is actually how the Prophet actually taught us as well in the Quran. And I guess mainly because it's a lot of interpretation and culture where women has always been looked upon as an inferior group of people as compared to men. And even though they might say, no, I treat you very well, but it is still the allocation of budget and health resources, facilities, or even then the women themselves. They have not been educated enough to actually be assertive enough to say what they want, their choice. Hence, the theme of my talk was actually making choices and managing the options. And for that, you really have to have knowledge. So I actually propose that the way to settle this problem is actually to educate women, and give them all the necessary information that they need to know, particularly about their health.
So when you were talking about as a role of the mother and the teacher and the doctor together, how can you manage that? And even though after your speech, Dr. Surin replied to your speech and said, being a Muslim woman in this world is not easy. What is your drive? What inspired you to come to this point? Okay.
First and foremost, most probably, I realized that as a woman, I have the same role as men to contribute. And that is why the reason why God created 50% of these populations are women. We are not just to be seen, but we must also contribute. And because of that, I guess that would not stop even when I'm a mother and a wife. And I always would like to stress that family is not your liability for women, as much as it's not a liability for men. But that kind of question that you ask me is a frequently asked question, okay? Wherever I go, all right? But most probably it's just fair for me to ask you, have you ever asked this question to Dr. Surin, most probably, or the male leaders,
Right.
And kind of the same kind of, how do you juggle your life and balance your life between your commitment as the the leader of the society, and being a father and a husband.
Actually, Aung San Suu Kyi said in the UEF something about maybe you better ask women what they cannot do, and she was talking about why in conclusion, why people expect women to do more, to sacrifice themselves. Maybe that's reflect from that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess. Well, most probably everybody knows women can do so much.
Yes.
And in a way, I guess that is also the reason why I would say that somehow the potential of women hasn't been sort of allowed to sort of really come to their potential.
Right.
And it has a lot of barricades and barriers. Okay, I cannot go out because I have my children to look after. So in my case, because you're asking me, I look at my family as my motivation. I'm here because of my duty, in terms of my knowledge, my skill, my ability, and this is actually all reflective of how I want my children to be. I'm a role model.
So in other words, it's more like the question of opportunity, the opportunity the women give themselves, and the opportunity that the world or the society give to that certain people.
I actually put there, a woman always, we always ask this question, in the eyes of God, where do women stand? So Islam answered that very, very directly, that men and women have spiritual equality. God will not see whether you're a man or woman. It depends on how righteous you are. I mean, it depends on how much you have faith in Him. Doesn't matter whether you're a man or woman. But women in the eyes of men, I always ask my audience, and they would say, well, men always look at women very lowly and whine and complain. And I say, I'm sorry, ladies, stop doing that.
Right.
No, men will look at us as how women view themselves.
Right.
And that's the analogy. If you look at yourself as just a victim, then you will be a victim all the time. If you look at yourself as an object of sex, most probably exploitation, then you will be that all the time.
So it's not just how other people treat you, but how you project yourself, how you compose yourself.
How you look at yourself.
How we look at ourselves.
And most probably the part where Dr. Sri was saying I as the role model is that because as a Muslim woman, it is always very stereotyped to say that the woman, they are not going to be so loud and opinionated. They are going to be standing few steps behind their husband, and I'm here alone. My husband is not around. Then that is most probably, well, to be fair, Tulip, whenever we talk about a good Muslim woman, what is in the stereotype image would be the woman who is having a lot of, most probably just being in...
Okay, let me ask you this. Is it fair to go to the gender? Is it fair when they ask you question, or even I ask you question, that we go right to being a woman or a man?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's really fair, but inevitably that would be the point of discussion, whether it's fair or not. I have stopped being angry with that, and I kind of expect it coming, and better prepare myself with the answer. I want to be looked upon as not my gender, but my ability. Somebody asked me, can a woman be a prime minister? I said, look, prime minister or whatever, it is actually an executive post where there is actually collective leadership. Okay, and if the one who is able to chair that executing committee is a woman, be it, because she's not going to just. So does a man.
Right.
So it's collective leadership and
personal skills
and your potential actually. So I guess we have to stop doing this battle of sexes, because it's not bringing us anywhere.
May I ask you this? You were giving speech about the health and fertility rate of pregnancy women. What is your main concern issues of health of the people in this region, or especially for Muslims specific, because today we are talking about the Muslim population?
Okay, I will come back to that one where I always ask myself, why is that vast difference between women in different continents of the world? You can see that in the European, in Australia, in the North America, their health is somehow, being prioritized. And while other parts of the world, where women are really playing their role as mothers and wives, they have not been, prioritized. Hence, the high fertility rate. Okay, and most probably the answer is quite clear. One, the woman is not being educated enough, so they cannot actually start thinking for themselves bargaining for themselves. Their bargaining power is very, very little. They're so dependent. On the other hand, I guess when you don't educate the women, the whole society will suffer. This is a very clear message to men as well. Do educate your women, because that would bring most probably 100-fold more benefits to your life. Okay?
Right.
And yeah, there's nothing like an empowered, educated, bright, intelligent woman to handle her life and the rest of the family.
Last question, if the leader of the world is watching, I hope they are watching, is there anything you want to say to them?
I guess it has to have a lot of political will in order to make my visions of seeing women being given the opportunity, and that political will, I think, is there. Okay. On the other hand, women should also take up the challenge. I know of many opportunities, but unfortunately, there's no woman who want to take it up. So I think it works both ways. I'm not just most probably appealing to the leaders of the world, but also to women themselves, that they have to start looking at themselves as a very important contributors of the society well-being. And because we can do it. Not just because we can do it, we have to do it.
We have to do it, not just we can. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tulip. Naksompop, yeah.
And that's all the time we have in this session of ASEAN Talks. Thank you very much for watching, and until we see you guys next time, สวัสดีค่ะ